Today, I want to share 3 stories from my life, just 3 simple stories, but they changed everything for me. The first one is about child connecting the dots. You see, I dropped out of Reed College after just 6 months, but I didn't leave right away. I stuck around as a drop-in for another 1.5 years before finally walking away. So why did I drop out? The story actually begins long before I was born. My biological mother was a young, unmarried graduate student. She made one of the hardest choices anyone could make. She decided to put me up for adoption. But she had one condition. She wanted me to be adopted by college graduates, people who valued education, people who could give me a future. Everything was arranged. A lawyer and his wife were ready to take me in. But the moment I arrived in this world, something changed. They decided they wanted a girl instead. Life had other plans for me. So one night, my parents, who'd been waiting and hoping for a child, got a call out of nowhere. "We have an unexpected baby boy. Do you want him?" Without hesitation, they said, "Of course." But life wasn't going to make it that easy. When my biological mother found out that my mom had never graduated from college and my dad hadn't even finished high school, she refused to sign the papers. She didn't want to let go until she had a promise that I would go to college someday. And that's how my story began. 17 years later, I kept that promise. I went to college, the first in my family. But I made a mistake that many of us make when we're young and idealistic. I chose a college that was almost as expensive as Stanford. My parents were working class people. Every single dollar they had saved was being poured into my tuition. And after 6 months of sitting in classrooms that didn't inspire me, chasing grades that didn't feel meaningful, I realized something painful. I couldn't see the value in it anymore. I had no clue what I wanted to do with my life, no direction, no purpose, and college, it wasn't giving me the answers I was searching for. Meanwhile, every day I was spending the money my parents had worked their entire lives to save. That guilt, that pressure, it was heavy. So I made a bold choice. I dropped out, and I decided to trust that somehow it would all work out. It was terrifying, but looking back, it was one of the best decisions that I ever made. Because the moment I dropped out, I was free. Free from the classes that didn't excite me. Free to follow the ones that sparked my curiosity. Now, don't get me wrong, it wasn't glamorous. I didn't have a dorm room. I slept on friends' floors. I collected Coke bottles just to trade them in for a few cents so I could eat. And every Sunday night, I'd walk 7 miles across town just to get one good meal at the Hare Krishna temple. But you know what? I loved it. For the first time, I was following my heart, my curiosity, my intuition. And the things I stumbled into during that time, those seemingly random experiences, later turned out to be absolutely priceless. Let me share one of those moments with you. At that time, Reed College was known for something truly special. It had some of the best calligraphy classes in the entire country. Everywhere you looked, every poster, every label, every sign was handcrafted with such elegance that it almost felt alive. And because I had dropped out, I wasn't bound by any required classes. I could choose whatever fascinated me. So I decided to follow my curiosity, and I took that calligraphy class. That's where I learned about sans serif and sans serif typefaces, about the art of spacing letters just right, about what makes great typography truly great. It was beautiful. It was precise. It was art and history coming together in a way that no science textbook could ever explain. And I fell in love with it. At that time, it had no practical purpose in my life. I couldn't have told you why I was learning it. I just knew I had to. But fast forward 10 years, when we were designing the first Macintosh computer, every bit of that calligraphy knowledge came rushing back. We built it all into the Mac. It became the first computer with beautiful typography, fonts that actually looked elegant, proportionate, and alive. And if I hadn't dropped in on that one class, if I hadn't trusted my curiosity, the Mac might never have had multiple typefaces. And since Windows copied the Mac, maybe no personal computer would have had them at all. If I hadn't dropped out, I never would have dropped in on that class, and the world of computers might have looked a whole lot duller because of it. When I was in college, I couldn't connect the dots looking forward. None of it made sense back then. But looking back, 10 years later, every single dot connected perfectly. That's the thing about life. You can't connect the dots looking ahead. You can only connect them looking backward. So you have to trust. Trust that somehow the dots will connect in your future. Trust your gut. Trust destiny. Trust life, karma, whatever you believe in. Because that trust, that belief, gives you the courage to follow your heart, even when the path ahead is uncertain, even when it takes you off the road everyone else is walking. And that makes all the difference. Now, my second story is about love and loss. I was lucky. I found what I loved to do early in life. When I was 20, my friend Woz and I started Apple in my parents' garage. 2 young dreamers with big ideas and no plan B. We worked day and night, pouring our hearts into it. And in just 10 years, Apple grew from 2 kids in a garage to a $2 billion company with over 4,000 employees. We had just launched the Macintosh, our proudest creation. I had just turned 30, and then I got fired. How do you get fired from the company you started? It sounds impossible, right? But it happened. As Apple grew, I brought in someone I thought was brilliant, someone I believed could help run the company alongside me. For a while, things were great. The energy was high, the vision was shared, until it wasn't. Slowly, our ideas for the future began to drift apart, and eventually we clashed. When the dust settled, the board sided with him. And just like that, at 30 years old, I was out, publicly, completely. The company I had built, the dream I had poured every ounce of my soul into, was suddenly gone. It was devastating. For months, I didn't know what to do. I felt like I'd let down an entire generation of entrepreneurs, like I'd dropped the torch that others had worked so hard to pass to me. I even went to meet people I admired, legends like David Packard and Bob Noyce, just to say, I'm sorry, I messed up. I was a public failure. Everyone knew, and I thought about leaving Silicon Valley altogether, running away from everything. But then something started to shift inside me. I realized I still loved what I did. The fall didn't take away the passion. The rejection didn't kill the fire. I'd been thrown out of the company I built, but I was still in love with the work. And that's when I made a decision, one that would change everything. I decided to start over. I couldn't see it at the time, but getting fired from Apple turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to me. When you lose everything you've built, it breaks you open. The weight of success, the pressure, the expectations, all of it disappears. And what's left is one freedom. The freedom to be curious again. The freedom to take risks. The freedom to begin not knowing where it might lead. That freedom led me into one of the most creative chapters of my life. Over the next 5 years, I started a company called What Next, another called Pixar, and I met the love of my life, the woman who would become my wife. Pixar went on to create the world's first computer-animated film, Toy Story. It changed animation forever and became the most successful studio in the world. And then, in a twist that even I couldn't have imagined, Apple bought Next, and I returned home. The technology we built at Next became the foundation of Apple's rebirth, the heartbeat of its modern era. And through it all, Lorena and I built a beautiful family together. Looking back, I'm certain of one thing. None of it would have happened if I hadn't been fired from Apple. Sometimes life doesn't push you backward. It redirects you toward where you were always meant to go. Getting fired felt like awful tasting medicine. Bitter, painful, hard to swallow. Because life has a way of hitting you in the head with a brick when you least expect it. When that happens, don't lose faith, don't lose heart. I'm convinced the only thing that kept me going through it all was that I loved what I did. You've got to find what you love, not just in your work, but in your life, in your relationships, in everything you do. Because your work is going to take up a huge part of your life. And the only way to wake up fulfilled, to feel truly alive, is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found that passion yet, keep searching. Don't stop. Don't settle. Because when you find it, you'll know. It'll feel right, deep in your heart. And just like a great relationship, it only grows stronger, deeper, and more meaningful with time. So keep looking. Keep believing. Don't settle. My third story is about a death. When I was 17, I came across a quote that hit me like lightning. If you live each day as if it were your last, someday you'll most certainly be right. That line stuck with me. It changed the way I saw everything. And for the last 33 years, every single morning, I've looked in the mirror and asked myself one question. If today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I'm about to do today? And whenever the answer was no for too many days in a row, I knew something had to change. Because remembering that I'll be gone someday has been the most powerful tool I've ever found for making life's biggest decisions. When you remember your time is limited, you stop pretending you'll live forever. You stop wasting time on what doesn't matter. You start living with urgency, with clarity, with purpose. Because here's the truth, almost everything we fear fades in the face of death. All the flawed expectations, the ego, the fear of failure, or some embarrassment, it all just falls away when you realize how temporary life really is. And what's left was only what truly matters. Remembering that you're going to die someday, it's the most powerful reminder there is. It's the best way to escape the illusion that you have something to lose. Because the truth is, you're already naked. You came into this world with nothing. You'll leave with nothing. So why not follow your heart while you're here? Why not take the risk, chase the dream, live boldly? No one wants to die. Even those who believe in heaven don't want to die to get there. And yet, death is the destination we all share. It's the one thing no one has ever escaped. And honestly, that's how it should be. Because death isn't just an end, it's life's greatest invention. It's the change agent that clears the old to make way for the new. Death clears out the old to make room for the new. And right now, you are the new. But one day, not too far from now, you'll become the old and life will move on without you. I know that sounds dramatic, but it's the truth. Your time here is limited, so don't waste it in living someone else's life. Don't get trapped by dogma, by other people's expectations, their rules, their version of success. Don't let the noise of the world drown out your own inner voice, because deep down, that voice already knows who you're meant to be. You just have to have the courage to listen, the courage to trust it, the courage to follow it, even when the path looks uncertain, because everything else is secondary. So as you go out there and build your life, and never forget these words: stay hungry, stay foolish.